Either way. Hi, hi everyone, and welcome to Friday Night Smackdown. Corey Graves, Spike here, and Wade Barrett. And today on Friday Night Smackdown, we know that Jimmy Hart is going to be against Becky Lynch for giving him the manhandle slam yesterday on Impact. Her hit, Corey Graves said. Well, I don't know why Jimmy Hart would think that Becky Lynch would need an overseer. I mean, Becky Lynch did so well on her own when she was in FPW, when she was in Shimmer, when she was SPW, and when she was in WWE. Why would she need a bloody overseer now? Spike says. I tell you right now, Wade Barrett said, you're not the only Englishman here, not the only 4-1 Kingdomer here. You know, I happen to be from the 4-1 Kingdom too before I went to the 4-1 Rights. Same here, Spike says. I was a man once, William Protant, I guess, or Prutot, however you say that. You know, William Pratchett, I guess, from the 4-1 Kingdom before I became the Bloodsucker Spike and went to the 4-1 Rights, and everything is yesteryear now. Well, it's good to know you're both formerly from the 4-1 Kingdom, now in the 4-1 Rights now, Corey Graves says. But we need to go to the wrestling ring now, because I believe we're going to have Jimmy Hart. Well, which Jimmy Hart we gonna have? Corey Graves goes. Is it gonna be WWF LJN Jimmy Hart or WCW Toy Biz Jimmy Hart? Alright, I am Jimmy Hart, also known as the Mouth of the South Jimmy Hart, a well-known, on-looked overseer of sundriest wrestlers, both in MCW, WWF, WCW, XWF, TNAW, and WWE. Yesterday, I asked Becky Lynch if she wanted me to be her overseer. I mean, who wouldn't want to be in the first Ken? Who wouldn't want to be in the Jimmy Hart Ken? And for everybody to know, the last team I ever was the overseer of was Tyson Kidd and Dustin Gabriel, and that was in 2012 YL. Alright? So yes, I haven't have any other buyers to my name, unless you reckon all the one-offs of Hulk Hogan I've done and WWE in my 2-diff run. Becky Lynch, you need to come out here and say you're sorry to Jimmy Hart. Well, Jimmy Hart, you call yourself the Mouth of the South. I mean, when you think of it, Jimmy Hart, they used to call you Picky Jimmy. Because one time, you were picky about which mankind you wanted to wrestle. And I know, Jimmy Hart, that you've done more in the wrestling business than be an unshow overseer. I mean, hell, you were a songwriter, and WWF. It was you, Jimmy Hart, and J.J. McGuire and Jim Johnson working together from between 85 YL to between 93 YL. Hell, we know you did the same thing in WCW too, huh? Well, I also know you were a former owner of the XWF along with Greg Valentine and Brian Knobs. And then you were, and then you went to TNAW. Well, you were an MCW first, WWF, WCW, XWF, TNAW, and then finally in your 2-diff run in WWE. But I don't need an overseer, Jimmy Hart. You know, all the wrestlers that you had been the overseer of, either in MCW, WWF, WCW, XWF, TNAW, or WWE, haven't really ended well, Jimmy. I know all about your yesteryear. I know how you like to say that you're friends with folks, but you shift on them. I mean, God forbid, Jimmy Hart, you had Hulk Hogan. He was one of the longest on and off foes friends you had, both towards the end of your first WWF run and during most of your whole WCW run and your XWF run and your TNAW run and your 2-diff WWE run, right? And you shifted on him in WCW. So you really think I'm going to be dumb, Jimmy Hart, to have you shift on me? To take either your blowhorn or your loudspeaker and hit me with it? Or what? Take the strap when no one's looking and hit and knock someone down with it? Yeah, I know. I wasn't going to do anything like that to you, Becky Lynch, because I got way too much onlook for you. Believe it or not, yeah, I spent most of my time as a heel overseer working in MCW. That would be Memphis Championship Wrestling or whatever. And then, yes, I went to my first run in WWF, World Wrestling Gathering. And yes, I did work as an unshow overseer there. And I also made a lot of songs along with J.J. McGuire and Jim Johnson. And then I went to WCW, World Championship Wrestling, or whatever, World Winnings Wrestling. And yes, I was there for many years. I was an on-show overseer. I worked as a songwriter. I made sundry songs for many wrestlers. They weren't as good as my WWF songs, but they were passable. And then yes, I started off the XWF with Greg Valentine and Brian Knobs, that I was the overseer of on and off in my first WWF run and his 2-diff WCW run. And yes, it is true that the bottom fell out of the XWF, and then I went to TNAW. I had AJ Styles, I had AJ Styles, I had Lex Luger. Who else did I have? Oh, I also had, whatever those tag team was that I had, and Athena had, and then Shane Douglas had. And yes, it led me going back to World Wrestling WWE, 2-diff run, World Wrestling Glee. Well, let me tell you something, bitch. At least I always had the on look to take someone leer to leer when I wanted to take them out. Well, guess what? It ain't happening. Oh! Who the hell is that? That's Taylor Harrigan. Shamkin from Stargate Atlantis or Stargate Atlantis Land. She just took out Becky Lynch. And from all that time, she was being a follower of the 4-1 Bonds of Good. And now she's a heel now. Corey Graves says. Well, Wade Barrett says, Spike says, when you come to the Toy Wrestling Gathering in 2012 YL, or 2011, 2012 YL, and no one's done nothing with you, besides winning the TWF Part of the Wings about 3 times, you do feel like you should be getting even, the Spike says, but I think that's just wrong. Oh, now Jimmy Hart's got Becky Lynch again. And wait a minute. Oh, Wade Barrett says, Jimmy Hart's back to being an overseer again. He's being back to being that, that lovable shithead with the loudspeaker, the blowhorn. Having wonderful wrestlers. And I would like to know why Taylor Shemerkin, however you say her kin name, I'd like to know how she can, be a heel. You want to know something, Becky Lynch? Once you become either the TWF Women's Heavyweight Fighter or the Women's World Heavyweight Fighter, you get a goal on your back. And I, Taylor Slim Shady Shadakin, I'm gonna take that away from you. Fuck You. Well, we at least now know that Jimmy Hart, you know, we now know that Jimmy Hart has now got Taylor as his new buyer. Corey Graves said, "Do you think we're going to have a match here today between Becky Lynch and Taylor?" "I would like to think we would," Spike says. "I like to think that Becky Lynch is going to go walk right into Astronomer or Carone's her room, and ask her and say that she wants to have a match," Spike says. "I'll tell you right now," Corey and Spike, Wade Barrett says, "Becky Lynch, she made a foe in Jimmy Hart. She now made a foe in Taylor Bradican, or however you say her kid name. And this ain't and you know what? She is now going to wish that she had taken Jimmy Hart on that deal," Wade Barrett said. "All right, everybody, we'll take it away." "How can I help you?" "Yeah, you can help me, Carone." "You can help me, Astronomer. You saw what happened out there." "Yes, I did. I saw Jimmy Hart and Taylor from Stargate Atlantis, or Stargate Atlantis land. I saw what she did to you." "I want that bitch." "All right. Do you want it?" "And I'll even put the Women's World Heavyweight winnings on stake here today, too." "All right, Becky Lynch. I'll give that to you. You can fight Taylor here today on Friday Night Smackdown with the Women's World Heavyweight winnings on stake, too." Well, we just know what match we're going to get here today on Friday Night Smackdown, Corey Graves says. It's going to be so cool to see if Becky Lynch can beat Taylor from Stargate Atlantis, or Stargate Atlantis land, or Stargate Sea land, since Atlantis is most likely a Hellenish borrowed word, Corey Graves says. "Well, I'll tell you one thing," Spike says. "I hope Becky Lynch knows what she's doing, putting the Women's World Heavyweight winnings on stake, against Taylor Arrogant, knowing what Taylor can do, and knowing how good she is with those sticks on the show, All right, this match is for the Women's World Heavyweight winnings. First, she is from the Pegasus Starway. With her overseer, Jimmy Hart, she is Taylor. And she is the Women's World Heavyweight fighter, Becky Lynch. Well, Becky Lynch made a mistake, some would say, when she did not, take Jimmy Hart as her overseer. Oh, Jimmy Hart's already starting shit, and Taylor just already started. Jimmy Hart's already started his shit, and the match already got started. Oh, Taylor Erican, if you're saying her kid name right, is going to do the manhandle slam on Becky Lynch, and hopefully do it, showing that she can do it at least more good than what Becky Lynch can do. Corey Graves said. "Well," Spike says, "will she get the 1-2 free?" "I don't know," Wade Barrett said. "I don't think she can beat her that way. 1, 2, and it didn't work. Becky Lynch kicked out, and Taylor Hadigan is not happy at all. She wants to do it again, but this time Becky Lynch just, close staked her down. Becky Lynch did the manhandle slam on Taylor Bradican. "Jimmy Hart again," Corey Graves said. "Whoa," Wade Barrett said. "Down goes Jimmy Hart." "Well," Wade Barrett said, "Jimmy Hart's not a wrestler. He's not a fighter. Why did she do that for?" "Well, he put himself in the ring, and when you put yourself out there, you're going to have to take a bloody bump," Spike says. "He had no bloody business being up on the ring side." Here it goes, Corey Graves says. 1, 2, 3. Ding, ding, ding. Here is your winner. And still the TWF, and still the Women's World Heavyweight Fighter, Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch has beat Taylor Aragon here today on Friday Night Smackdown. You know. And we all know how this can work. Oh, Jimmy Hart just hit her again. Taylor just got Becky Lynch got Jimmy Hart in the manhandle slam too. And the Fight Lord just fell down as well. Well, I understand now, Corey Graves says, that we're gonna have Joey Styles be talking with Taylor Hadigan, if I'm saying her kid name right. Which at the end of the day, Corey Graves said your guess is as good as mine. Alright, thank you, Corey Graves. I'm going to be talking with Taylor Aragon and Jimmy Hart here today on Friday Night Smackdown. Alright, Jimmy Hart, it seems to me that you're got an overseer. Becky Lynch thinks this is over. Think again. Taylor Bradigan, she will be the Women's World Heavyweight Fighter, Joey Styles. You mock my word. You hear my word. It will happen. I have many former wrestlers of mine have held heavyweight winnings, both in MCW, WWF, WCW, XWF, TNAW, and WWE. Becky Lynch is going to wish she never made me as her foe. Taylor Bradigan, first off, I've been in the toy wrestling gathering since 2012, YL, when I came from Game Again. And what did I get? Sitting in a bin for many years. Oh, you won the TWF hard middle winnings about 2 times. Once from Bobby Lashley, and again from Rob Van Dam. Oh, but that was about it, right? Fuck me, huh? Well, let me tell you something. You're nothing bloody outstanding, Becky Lynch. You think you're the first woman to ever leave Irishland and come to the 4-1 Reichs? Get over yourself. My bearers, my mother and father, and my sisters and I left, Tasmania-ish land and came to the settled land. But you don't see me making myself out to be the homecoming good doer. And I will be the Women's World Heavyweight Fighter. You hear me? I will fuck you up bad. Taylor Aragon on Stargate Atlantis, or whatever, you were at one time a follower of the 4-1 Bonds of Good. Yeah. Well, here, yeah, whatever. But I'm pissed off. Becky Lynch doesn't want Jimmy Hart as their overseer. Well, I take Jimmy Hart. And Becky Lynch, I will have the Women's World Heavyweight winnings. Well, that's my talk with Taylor Bradigan, or how we say her kid name. Back to you, Corey Graves. Thank you, Joey Styles, for talking with Jimmy Hart and Taylor Bradigan here today on Friday Night Smackdown. And that's all the time we got here today. I, Corey Graves, Spike, and Wade Barrett, we hope you liked Friday Night Smackdown, and we'll see you tomorrow for Rampage or Ram Through.